Hey YouTube, it's Magician34, and this is sort of the aftermath of YCS Arlington. I didn't end up making day 2, which, that's too bad, but it happens. Despite that, I'm actually really happy with my deck, and I'm going to show it to you. It's a deck I've had a variant of before, but now you're going to get to see it with side deck and a few changes to make it a little more playable. So I'm going to go kind of quickly through it. But anyway, the meta was pretty diverse there, as I predicted. It turned out to be an event with a little over 1,200 people, I think they said. So that's pretty big. So all kinds of interesting things all over the place. So Sams were a greater number than we had thought they were going to be, because we thought it might be too expensive. But still, it by far didn't dominate the field. But anyway, okay, this run starts with 3 Caiuses, and also 2 copies of Thestalus the Firestorm Monarch. This guy is actually picked over Ryza because there may not always be something on the field you want to hit, but amazingly hitting the card in their hand is usually a more effective play. He does get sided out against Quick Draw and Frogs, but in all your other matchups it's good because basically you hit their revenge play out of their hand. So the best thing they can do against him is maybe stabilize or just negate his summon straight up. But this guy is definitely not a bad Monarch. He doesn't get the billing he deserves right now. We run 1 copy of Gore's Emissary of Darkness, 1 copy of Tragoedia, and 3 copies of Battle Fader. This deck is, for the most part, pretty easy to build too, guys, with like one noteworthy exception. We are also running 3 copies of Dimensional Alchemist. This card has been questioned occasionally, but your main target obviously is Battle Fader, so you can recycle, re-abuse him, keep buying time. This deck's very reactive. In other words, it waits for your opponent to do things in order for it to do things. But he has lots of other targets. Your Monarchs will frequently get hit by like Bottomless Trap Hole kind of stuff, or even Caius once in a while, so those are good targets for him. Anything he flips with his ability could potentially become a target for him, assuming it's a monster. And also Plague Spreader zombies in this deck, and Plague Spreader can get retrieved with this guy, so lots of ways to use Alchemist. And he also goes well with Creature Swap and Enemy Controller, which are also in the deck. We run 2 copies of Dandelion, just a good set, also good to feed to Enemy Controller and Creature Swap. Also creates Tribute Fodder, of course. Plague Spreader Zombie for all the aforementioned reasons for Dandelion. Sandgang goes and searches you all those things. He's like a 4th Battle Fader, and he can also go search your 1 copy of DD Crow, or 1 or 2 of your side deck cards as well. So he makes the cut very well. He's a good first turn set. In case they set in response, he's a good sack to your Monarch. And we're also running this card main deck, 3 copies, which is the real surprise of the deck. It works well with Creature Swap and even Enemy Controller. Like a lot of the cards in this deck, they work well with those. It's kind of the heart and soul, the synergy of the deck. But this card is very devastating to Samurais. They have trouble getting past it. You can really wreck them. It's Lava Golem. I mean, this thing can kill lots of people, but the fact that he tributes their monsters as a cost to summon him, he can't be stopped from doing that. Instant death to 2 of your opponent's monsters. Almost nothing can stop it. Basically only things like Mask or Restrict can stop him. And you pretty much guarantee the 1,000 burn to your opponent's face. And with stuff like Battle Fader and Tragoedia and Gores, you don't really have to fear this guy's retaliation. So he's just an excellent card in the main deck. One of your best weapons, actually. And we do run 1 copy of DD Crow. I mean, on his worst day he can be creature swapped over, but you'll often find yourself standing gunning him to basically stop the Debris Dragon. Debris for Dandelion, Crow. Just a good pick. Alright, now this is the only really expensive card in the deck, and that's Pot of Duality times 3. But the deck can very easily support it. You do have some special summons you want to do on your turn, but it's very slow going, and you can easily wait another turn, and a lot of your special summons are things like Battle Fader. So Pot of Duality is very good in this deck, and it gives you the digging that you need in order to maintain relative consistency in your plays. Definitely worth getting. If this card gets hit on the upcoming ban list in March, then obviously you're going to run a few, not quite as many. I realize this card's expensive. You can try other alternatives or just run, like, say, a 3rd Thestalus and stuff like that. Magical Mallet is a decent switch-in for this, but it's not ideal. Obviously, Pot of Duality is good. You can even try Upstart Goblin. And once again, it's not ideal. Pot of Duality is ideal. But there are other things you can use instead. But for the preferred build, it's Pot of Duality, and this is what I ran. Monster Reborn. Obviously, Tribute Fodder, a million reasons to use that card. Dark Hole, also pretty self-explanatory. We run 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. We really like to set and destroy specific targets. Royal Oppression is pretty bad for this deck, so we use lots of things that actually destroy. Cold Wave is bad for this deck mainly because, as in you playing Cold Wave is bad for you, because a lot of your biggest plays revolve around you playing a spell during your own turn, and it won't get rid of threats like that permanently. And Giant Trunade just doesn't have the oomph of straight-up destruction cards like this. So we run Mysticals, and we also run Dust Tornadoes instead. And you'd be surprised how effective they actually are. We also run 3 copies of Creature Swap. Obviously, the stuff we have is pretty self-explanatory. Summon your Battle Fader, special it in attack mode. That way, when you Creature Swap, in the event that your opponent does something like Solemn Judgment, you can still switch your Battle Fader to defense mode. If you special the Battle Fader in defense mode and then change it to attack mode, well, Creature Swap obviously can't change positions anyway, but even if you do it, basically, if something goes wrong with Creature Swap, then you're stuck. So, you want to bring in attack mode, that way Creature Swap basically gives them the Battle Fader, which is going to essentially give you the free attack, like let's say you steal their Stardust Dragon, attack my attack position, Battle Fader, deal you 2,500, plus I permanently stole your Stardust Dragon. It's plays like that, but especially what you can do is Lava Golem them, they get the Golem, you have no field, you say go, because you couldn't normal summon anyway the turn you Golemed. They attack with Golem, you Battle Fade it, they've already taken the 1,000 off Lava Golem during their standby phase, you get your turn, you Creature Swap, you run over your attack position Fader, you just dealt them 3 grand more. So that's half their life points on one play, basically. Plus, you bought yourself a lot of time to draw other cards, you know, make Monarch plays and stuff like that, because they've lost their field in the meantime. Lots of other things you can do with this, like I say, Donate Dandelion, Alchemist, Sky's the Limit. Basically, trade your monsters who are subpar for their best plays. And in keeping with that spirit as enemy controller, it's also a great way to keep your opponent from removing your stuff. If they Caius or something like that, you really want to see your stuff go to the grave. It's especially good for Sangan for that reason, and of course Dandelion. So, and the speed of it is good. You don't really need Book in this deck, surprisingly. Solemn Judgment basically prevents the holy crap that's going to mess me up play. Torrential Tribute, you don't mind blowing your field usually, in fact this can get rid of a Lava Golem that otherwise might be a little problematic for you. We do run Mirror Force. Not everyone's running Mirror Force right now, but it's good against threats like Black Wings and whatnot. It's just playable, suffice it to say. It's a good way to defend yourself, especially if you've got that one card set and that's all. They've learned that you Battle Fade, so they probably won't blow your back row, especially if you only have one card, so they're not going to Icarus or something like that. Anyway, they'll attack and then you'll surprise them. 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole, pretty self-explanatory. Just hits too much stuff. And last but not least, 2 copies of Dust Tornado. Once again, we like to destroy specific threats. If they Solemn Warn or something like that, granted threats, you know, it's not always going to get every single one of their back rows, especially if they drop like 3 cards. But most of the things they're going to set are like Solemn Warning. And who cares? I mean, if they have Bottomless, you'll get your Monarch effect anyway, and that's what's important. If it's Solemn Warning, they paid 2,000 life points against a deck that runs Lava Golem and Battle Faders. I mean, not really concerned. It's not a tempo issue because of Battle Fader and whatnot. And you're not really concerned about the damage because, heck, Lava Golem is just going to add another 1,000 to that 2,000 they just paid. So, it's all good there. Moving on to the side deck, we side deck 2 copies of Snowman Eater. Usually comes in for Dandelion, especially against threats like, say, Black Wings and whatnot that like to feed on things like that. Good side out. And GBs, of course, also love to hit your Dandy, so this is a good switch in because they don't like to hit this. 3 copies of Thunder King Ryo. He's pretty explanatory too. He's good in a lot of matchups. You definitely side him in the game that you're going first against Samurais of your game 2 or 3. You may want to consider siding him out actually against Samurais if you're going to be going second, because they'll do all their searching on their first turn and then this guy will be kind of dead. So, but it's a judgment call. This deck, as I said, already has a good matchup against Samurais. Effect Veiler, great side in against GBs, but you can also side in against other decks depending. You just kind of play according to your preferences. Rise, as I said, these 2 Rises side in for the Stalos against Frogs and more importantly against Quick Draw Dandy Warrior. Because obviously hitting in their hand is a little riskier and they hate having their monsters spun to their deck. 2 copies of Puppet Plant. This sides in pretty much just for Samurais, because everything they have, this is just a free brain control against it. Virtually their entire lineup is always Warriors. So you steal their 2,500 point Shien and tribute it off to a Monarch. Not bad at all. And he can be sided in against Gravekeepers because he steals spellcasters, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because it's a monster and he'll probably end up getting tributed. Chain Disappearance works on a lot of decks in this format, so very good side in against a lot of them, especially Frogs and Quick Draw. Divine Wrath sides against a number of decks, and this can also kill Shien, so consider siding it against them. But the main reason it made the cut was because this deck has a few kind of rare decks that are very scary, like Herald of Perfection. Herald of Perfection is very scary because usually he's the only monster on the field, unless, say, like Archlord Christie is on the field, in which case you can't summon Lava Golem to kill it. But Divine Wrath can kill it because it's spell speed 3. So, and that's why that makes the cut, because otherwise Herald of Perfection could eat this deck alive. And your extra deck real quick is Mistworm, Stardust Dragon, Scrap Dragon, a lot of 8-star just targets because you're sinking for 8 most of the time, Red Dragon Arcfiend, because most of your synchros are going to be with Plague Spreader and one of your 6-star Monarchs. Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler Arcfiend, he really has his moments actually because he can't be booked or Icarus or stuff like that. Infernity Doom Dragon, Dark End Dragon, because remember we run Caius. Black Rose Dragon, Scrap Arcfiend, just because he's a lot of damage. Usually Urbellum won't be a factor, so we're not running him. Goyo Guardian, Bryanak, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, Flamvelo Urquiza, because he's a good 6-star target against decks that run Dandy and whatnot and Frogs, because the trample damage will add up quickly. He's a good threat that they're forced to answer. Magical Android, and of course Ally of Justice Cataster. Alright, that's the extra deck, the side, and the main deck. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.